Y'all, Wizard101 just dropped yet another teaser for Summer Update 2025, and depending on what it is they're teasing with this could actually mean quite a few things for the upcoming update, so it's a little mysterious. Let's look at what they posted on social media today. This seems to be a new animation that we've never seen. This is either a natural attack from a new enemy that we fight in the upcoming Aquila revamp, or this could be a completely new spell that we've never had access to before. Now, because there are multiple interpretations to this teaser, I wanted to start with what I think is more likely. If y'all notice in the background of this teaser, the caster of the spell has multiple different school pips. That is not something that enemies tend to do, so I'm less likely to believe this is a natural attack. I think this is one of several new lore spells that we're gonna get that are distinct from the new Aquala spells based on the gods that we might also get. Now that's confusing, right? Because they already teased, I think, that we're getting reworks of existing Aquila spells. We're talking about the 9-pip spells that we've only seen as item cards for the longest time. But these are 9 pips, right? So I guess what they probably thought, because summer updates, they've been releasing lore spells. Those are spells that require school pips. I think they're releasing new 9-pip Aquila spells, and based on the teaser today, new lore spells as well. Now that would be quite a few new spells this update, which is really cool. But let's look at how they've handled lore spells for summer updates before. How would it work in Aquila? So last summer, Wiz did something a little bit different. Instead of adding a new gold key boss to farm for a bunch of new spells, they actually revisited existing gold key bosses and added to their drop table. So they revisited the Mushu and the Avalon key bosses, and what they did for those reworks basically was they looked at the schools of the spellments that the Mushu and Avalon bosses dropped and added spells for the schools that they didn't drop for. So for example, right, the Avalon boss, at that point before that update, it dropped fire, life, storm, and death spell elements. They basically added the rest, which is why that boss ended up dropping the new ice elemental, the new serve brave badger, and the new reckon etten spell. Those were spells for schools that did not drop up to that point. I think it's very logical that with an Aquila revamp, they were probably gonna add things to the Aquila gold key boss. Now this boss already drops Queen Calypso, Hephaestus, and Athena. That's fire, storm, and Myth. So I think it's very likely, if this is teasing new lore spells, we're gonna be getting a new life, a new balance, a new death, and a new ice spell from this gold key boss. Now what's notable about that is last year, because the Mushu and the Avalon gold key boss already dropped Storm, they didn't actually get a new spell, and since this one also already drops Calypso, I think this might be 2 years in a row where Storm doesn't get a new lore spell. And what's especially annoying about this is that a few months ago, the devs were basically saying that they're going to be reassessing the push and steal mechanic. We kind of already saw them do this with Shads, but school pips are a different thing, right? You don't have to wait multiple rounds to get a school pip. But I think it was very logical that the one steal slash push mechanic that doesn't exist in the game right now, which is steal heal, that would be squarely a storm utility. If they're only going to be adding new lore spells to Aquila and they miss out on Storm, this might be yet another year where they miss out on adding a push steal mechanic that we simply have yet to see. Every school can push or steal something other than Storm. It would get the push and steal a heal mechanic because it's a heal countering and heal leveraging school, if that makes sense. But if they're only going to add new lore spells to Aquila, we might not be seeing that, and we might not have the ability to do that by dueling into Storm on other schools either for yet another year. I do think that's relevant. I think heal spamming is kind of ridiculous sometimes. I think a lot of people are annoyed by it. It would be nice if there were even more rewarding Storm and death counters, and since Storm is definitely eligible for a steal heal mechanic based on their school identity, it would have been nice to get that this update. Who knows, maybe the Aquila spells, the 9-pip ones anyways, maybe they'll involve utilities like that. We don't really know what rules they're gonna make for these because we haven't really seen them revisit these in so many years. But yes, a real problem with this teaser could be that it's teasing that Storm is gonna be left out again, and there's different and important utilities on the line every time a school gets left out. And I don't want to understate like how crazy this like push steal update that they're going to be doing is. We're going to be looking at a camp bandit that can shift up to 2 dots. We're looking at weakness swaps for ice, shield swaps for Myth that swap and push up to 3 weaknesses, 3 shields, and then hit it. Right, these are going to be powerful utilities that every school is going to get. If you already have a push or steal mechanic in your toolkit, you're already golden. Once that update comes out, you're getting a new powerful spell. Storm is going to be left out if they do it this way. I'm a little concerned about that. Now, obviously, the other thing that this could be is maybe they're just adding one new Aquila spell that's 9 pips, no school pips involved for every school. They could just go that route, and this could just be a teaser for a new side boss, a new boss. But I think what's notable is the location. Then, if this is definitely a new boss teaser and this is in Atlantia, I think it lays more claim to this idea that they're going to be adding challenge modes, not just for Mount Olympus, but for every dungeon in Aquila this update. Now, here's why I was a little bit skeptical. One, right? The teaser where we knew that they're going to revamp Aquila featured a challenge mode sigil for Mount Olympus alone, but the teaser insinuated that we're going to be refighting all of the immortals. If it's all of the immortals, it was very, very, you know, logical to assume they're going to be revamping every Aquila dungeon. They're going to be adding a challenge mode to every Aquila dungeon. Now, if that's true, then that would be very different than how they've actually been able to manage challenge modes in the past, which is why I think people were skeptical. If y'all didn't know, right, when the Wallaroo update came out, they actually released the entirety of the world minus the final dungeon because it involved a very ambitious version of challenge mode, right? When this came out, I want to say in November or December, the final dungeon, they only ended up releasing it in January or something, mainly because of this challenge mode. They had to make a standard mode version of the dungeon and the challenge mode because that's what basically the nightmare was supposed to be. Now, the fact that they're revisiting Aquila and adding definitely 7 new spells, are they also going to be revamping 3 dungeons or adding new lore spells as well? Is all of this on the table? If that's the case, this is something that is very, very different than the scope of a normal update, which is why I'm like so surprised by it. There is a world where this teaser is for a new lore spell and they're still revamping every dungeon in Aquila. If that is true, we're looking at basically 11 new spells, 3 new challenge mode dungeons, and this is all in an update where they're going to be releasing a new raid. Even if a school like Storm is left out, which I would really hope is not the case, that might be one downside amongst a lot of upside, right? We could be looking at a gigantic update. This could be a lot compared to usual. They put out so many teasers last week that I assumed that they were done with teasers. It seems like they have so much content that they're not out of teasers yet. So either we're just getting like baited hard, or this is like probably one of the biggest summer updates we've seen in a while. They're getting me hyped, but I just want to make sure that I'm on the right side. Do y'all agree with my take on this? Let me know what y'all think of the teaser. If this is a lore spell, how do you guys think they should handle the fact that Storm might not be getting yet another lore spell for 2 years now? And if this is a side boss, what are y'all thinking about the scope of this Aquila update compared to what they used to struggle with as recently as Wallaroo? I think it's definitely a lot to talk about. Let me know y'all's thoughts in the comments. Drop a like if you enjoyed. Leave a sub if you're new. And as always, if somebody hasn't told you you're awesome today, they doing something wrong. Stay awesome. See y'all soon. And yeah.